Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye Nashtaprayeshu Vabhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Ruttamaśloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistike Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayyam Dadati Svapadantikam Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Nitinamine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna. Reading from Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Sri Prabhupada Ki Jai. We are reading from Canto 3, Chapter 31, The Movement of Living Entities. And very happy Janmashtami to everyone. Today is a grand day, appearance day of Lord Sri Krishna. So very, very happy Janmashtami to all the devotees.
Same to you,
Most of us,
Prabhuji. Thank you.
Thank you,
most of us are
Prabhuji,
fasting
and
today,
same to
and
you.
it's a very auspicious day, the most auspicious day. And let us pray to mercy of the Supreme Lords Sri Sri Radha Krishna, Radha Vrindavan Chandra, that we will continue with our devotional service, right? So especially the 5 aspects of devotional service, that is, the chanting of Hare Krishna Mahamantra, reading Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, associating with devotees, deity worship, the visiting temple and other things, and contributing whatever we can for the general upliftment of people in Krishna consciousness. So a day like this, there are many wonderful classes which goes on. Like in Pune, we have sessions by His Grace Kanai Krishna Prabhu. Today there is a session by His Grace Radhesham Prabhu. And every ISKCON temple will be having such amazing devotees giving, their wonderful association. And we should make the best of this association, as much as possible. Coming to this point, His Grace Kanai Krishna Prabhu is a very senior devotee, and he is known for his Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam classes, right? So he is a very deeply rooted. He's from Pune. Currently, he is in Vrindavan. Govardhan he is in. He is heading ISKCON, one of the Mahavidyalaya, Govardhan Mahavidyalaya. Very deeply rooted in Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. So tomorrow, I have requested him to join our reading session. So, we will be very fortunate tomorrow. We will be having His Grace Kanai Krishna Prabhu conducting our reading session. We may continue with the same thing, or maybe something else that we may continue, whatever he wants to speak. But, we are going to have tomorrow His Grace Kanai Krishna Prabhu. So book that date. Okay. So we'll continue with our text 35. न तस्यास्य भवन्मोहो बन्धाश्च अन्य प्रसंगतः योषित संगात यथा पुंसः यथा तत्संगी संगतः. Translation:
The infatuation and bondage which accrue to a man from attachment to any other object is not as complete as that resulting from attachment to a woman or to the fellowship of men who are fond of women. Purport: attachment to women is so contaminating that one becomes attached to the condition of material life not only by the association of women, but by the contaminated association of persons who are too attached to them. There are many reasons for our conditional life in the material world, but the topmost of all such causes is the association of women, as will be confirmed in the following stanzas. In Kali Yuga, association with women is very strong. In every step of life, there is association with women. If a person goes to purchase something, the advertisements are full of pictures of women. The physiological attraction for women is very great, and therefore people are very slack in spiritual understanding. The Vedic civilization, being based on spiritual understanding, arranges association with women very cautiously. Out of the four social divisions, the members of the first order, namely Brahmacharya, the third order, Vanaprastha, and the fourth order, Sannyasa, are strictly prohibited from female association. Only in one order, the householder is their license to mix with women under restricted conditions. In other words, attraction for women's association is the cause of the material conditional life. And anyone interested in being freed from this conditional life must detach himself from the association of women. Hare Krishna.
Yeah. So just a minute. Yeah, difficult. Sure. So we'll continue with our discussions. So now Kapila Muni here is giving a strong warning. What is the association, right? Na tasyatha bhaven moho, that the infatuation and the bondage which occur to a man from the
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, you are not audible. You are speaking.
Am I audible? Hare Krishna?
Now you are audible, Prabhuji.
Yeah. So here Kapila Muni is describing that the bondage, the topic of bondage is being described here. That the infatuation and bondage which occur to a man is not as complete as that of resulting from attachment to a woman or the people or following the people who are attached to women. Needless to say, it is woman for a man and attachment to man for a woman, right? So previously, these moral lessons were more to be given to the men because women as a class were very highly cultured and protected. So, please look from this perspective, right? And that's why we will never see the adultery from the woman's side in the Vedic times. You will never see Ravana counterpart. Like your Ravana was there moving around, trying to enjoy this, trying to enjoy that. But you will not see so much so as the lady woman who is just moving around and enjoying, right? And therefore, a lot of lessons are there for the men as this thing. And that's why the translation and purport will be skewed from that perspective. Keeping Kali Yuga in mind, it is like, the same verse you can translate as the infatuation and the bondage which occur to a woman is not as complete as that of resulting from attachment to a man or following those women who are fond of men. Okay. Now, all this is describing about extramarital affairs or the pre-marital affairs. This verse is not applicable for within the marriage, right? Anything extra marriage, this is where Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam is describing. Within the marriage, Lord Krishna has already described what is that dharmo aviruddha bhuteshu kamosmi bharatarshava. Okay, very, very pure, beautiful understanding of husband-wife relationship, and even their intimate relationship. Lord Krishna being describing this in Bhagavad Gita. So let that context be very clear. Whenever it is being talked of a woman here, what I want to say is, let's not have an idea that how can this be written for a woman. It is not written for a woman. It is written for a man, right? It is the uh, morality lesson to the man who is attached to having some extramarital affair with the some society girls or something like that. Okay, this is the perspective. And now, needless to say, why only to men? Because Kali Yuga, there is equality everywhere. This also is applicable to women, right? So this is the context in which we should be taking verses like this. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada explains attachment to a man or a woman, as where the case is so contaminating that one becomes attached to the conditions of material life, not only by the association to them, but also by the association who are attached to them. Okay, so what this means? Later we will be seeing the story of Ajamil. Ajamil, the Bhagavatam is very clear about when the Bhagavatam is going to utilize any terminology. Ajamila Bhagavatam calls at Gunalayam. He is the abode of all great qualities, Gunalayam, right? And such Ajamil was completely contaminated because of his association with a prostitute, right? And here Bhagavatam wants not only directly such association for a man associating directly with the low class women, but also to people like sometimes in our company or the workplace or somebody, people are always interested in the yellow page discussion, always interested in some they will say that manly or adult discussion, adult jokes and everything, all that is gearing towards simply this kind of the filthy discussion that people will have. Prabhupada says there are many reasons for our conditional life in the material world. There are many reasons, right? But this reason is the most prominent, and nothing can come to the complete attachment and the complete shackling and the bondage that can happen. Okay, and that's why Prabhupada says Kali Yuga. This is a major problem in Kali Yuga. Kali Yuga, in the name of women's equality, man's equality, this and that, somehow the artificially things are inflated in such a way. People sometimes say that, Prabhuji, what is this in Hindu Dharma, Sanatan Dharma? You have this kind of understanding of women. No, this is not the case. Sanatan Dharma is the only Dharma where, as good as Devi is also worshipped, right? Like Lakshmi ji is worshipped, Saraswati, Parvati. These personalities are worshipped as good as Lord Narayan or Lord Shiva, or like Lord Narayan, Lord Shiva, or Lord Krishna. So, but the point here is the conditional attachment, and that has to be curtailed, and that has to be completely given up. The psychological attraction for the opposite gender is very great, and therefore people are very slack in their spiritual understanding, right? Because, and one should never experiment on this. This is extremely dangerous. Sometimes people think that yeah, it is true for the ordinary people. I'm special. I can handle it, Prabhuji. This time it is different. I can handle it. No, we cannot handle. Nobody can handle drugs. Nobody can handle drinks. Nobody can handle extramarital affairs. However great or however uh, you know established or however fixed one may be. Bhagavad Gita says, Prak Sharira Vimokshanat. Prak Sharira Vimokshanat means the attack of lust and greed will always be there on a person till when? Somebody will say, till when, Prabhuji? Till retirement, 60? Till post-retirement, 70, 80, 90? Bhagavad Gita says Prak Sharira Vimokshanat. Till the time of one's death, the final moment, one should be always very cautious and always following the Vaishnava etiquette. See, the end of the whole thing, the solution is very simple. The solution is Vaishnava etiquette, Vaishnava Sadachar. Right? That is the solution. Such a beautiful, simple solution to it. Srila Prabhupada says that the Vedic civilization arranges the association with woman, for man with woman, or for woman with man, very cautiously. So there are 4 ashramas: brahmacharya, grihastha, vanaprastha, and sannyas. Out of these 4 ashramas, 3 ashramas are supposed to be engaged in tapasya. Only in one ashrama, that is grihastha ashram, there is some consideration of mixing with a woman, but that is also a restricted association. What is that restricted association? Restricted association means the first thing is matruvat paradareshu, paradravyeshu lotravat. Right? Matruvat, one should consider other than one's own wife, one should consider every other lady as matruvat paradareshu. This is Chanakya Pandit. Matruvat paradareshu. And sometimes, people are also not very happy with this idea. In the sense, even sometimes Matajis are also not very happy. Like, somebody is called as a Mataji, and like our Chaitanya Charan Prabhu has a nice joke. He was in USA and he was on a preaching tour. And that Mataji was very frank. And she said that, Prabhuji, if you call me Mataji, I will call you Pitaji. And, that was kind of a... But the point here is, Prabhupada had some intention in saying so, right? That term Mataji comes from Chanakya's this verse, Matruvat Paradareshu, right? So this is the restricted condition, restricted association. For restricted association, we have a very nice short form. What is that short form?
Short, formal, and to the point.
Yes. Formal, short, to the point. Right. FST, we call it. Formal, the discussion should be formal, short, and to the point. This is the association, how it should be. Right. General association. Of course, you can be very close friend with somebody. That is also there. But still, within those close friendships also, there has to be a great element of Vaishnava etiquette. Right. So, in other words, attraction to the opposite gender is the cause of material conditional life. And anyone interested being freed from this conditional life must detach himself from the association of opposite gender. Right. So this is what the explanation. Beautiful words by Kapila Muni and explanation by Srila Prabhupada. Any question on this point? Because the same theme is going to be continued for 3-4 times. That's why we are asking this. Text 36. Prajapati swam duhitaram drushtva tadrupadharshitah rohit bhutam so anvadhavat druksharupi hatatrapah.
Translation. At the sight of his own daughter, Brahma was bewildered by her charms and shamelessly ran up to her in the form of a stag when she took the form of a hind. Purport. Lord Brahma's being captivated by the charms of his daughter and Lord Shiva's being captivated by the Mohini form of the Lord are specific instances which instruct us that even great demigods like Brahma and Lord Shiva, what to speak of the ordinary conditioned soul, are captivated by the beauty of women. Therefore, everyone is advised that one should not freely mix even with one's daughter, mother, or sister, because the senses are so strong that when one becomes infatuated, the senses do not consider the relationship of daughter, mother, or sister. It is best, therefore, to practice controlling the senses by performing bhakti yoga, engaging in the service of Madana Mohana. Lord Krishna's name is Madana Mohana, for he can subdue the god Cupid or lust. Only by engaging in the service of Madana Mohana can one curb the dictates of Madana, Cupid. Otherwise, attempts to control the senses will fail. Hare Krishna.
And somebody will say, oh, is it so? Any example? Here is the example. What is the example? Prajapati sva duhitaram. When, upon the sight of his own daughter, Brahma was bewildered and ran shamelessly after her in the form of a stag when she took the form of a king. Right. So, there is one instance of this where Brahmaji is our Adi Guru. We come in the Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya. And Brahmaji, later we have already discussed this point much in detail in the second canto, that just to create the avaran of lust. And then the Brahmaji became so aware of his offense of thinking like this. He gave up his form, and that form came down in the form of the lust, covering all the living entities. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada says, that Lord Brahma being captivated by the charms and Lord Shiva being captivated by Mohini Murti, if Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva, if they can be captivated, what to speak of ordinary conditioned souls like all of us, right? So, and therefore, therefore Prabhupada says, therefore everyone is advised that one should not freely mix with opposite gender. How much so? To one's daughter, one's mother, or one's sister, because the senses are so strong. This verse later will come in Bhagavatam. Matra swastra duhitrava na vivikta suno bhavet balavan indriya gramo vidvan api sakarshati. Vidwan, highly intelligent person, api, even he, karshati, can be drawn to the attraction. Right. So this is matra swastra duhitrava. So what this means is caution is always better. Right. Caution is better to be safe than sorry. In Maharashtra, there was one very famous movie. I don't know how many of you know this. Of course, we don't watch movies, but this was like, like a benchmark movie in Maharashtra, Marathi cinema. And the name of the movie was Pinjara, right? The Trap. And this Pinjara movie very classically, that depicts the fall of a very great teacher and how he systematically falls, and very graphically it is being captured there in that movie. I don't watch the movie, but I mean something like remembrance to that. Prabhupada says here, therefore, the senses should be engaged in the service of the Supreme Lord. Which Supreme Lord? The Lord who is called as Madan Mohan, who can captivate even the Cupid. And otherwise there is no chance of controlling the senses. And this has happening again and again. So many times this happens. If you just go to Google and just search USA Epstein files, I don't know what is the exact pronunciation. Okay, so this is the Epstein. There was a person who was involved in all illicit kind of activities, and you name a person and he was involved in that scam. He used to take all these big people to his own personal island and arrange all kind of illicit activities, as low as something like the girls of 12, 13, 14 years old also were made available, and all biggies are in part of that list. I don't want to name the biggies, but some names surfaced there were like the honorable current president, who is quite whimsical, and one great software tycoon, and another great scientist who was supposed to be Newton incarnated. But all these people were in the part of that list, right? Why? Because Balavan Indriya Gramo Vidvan Api Sakarshati, right? Senses are extremely strong, and Vidvan, even a great personality, Api Sakarshati, can be drawn towards the senses. And this is how, now look at this. This is the discussion between mother and the son, right? Such a sacred discussion. Kapila Muni is teaching all these things to whom? To Devahuti. She is like, very elderly now. Husband has gone, taken sannyas. Son is also grown up. And here, Prabhupada, there is a very beautiful pastime of Prabhupada. Prabhupada's sister, Prabhupada was almost like 80 years old that when this thing happened. And Prabhupada's sister was 76. And Prabhupada was sitting, and Prabhupada's sister, Pishima, now you can just imagine 80-year-old brother and 76-year-old sister. And she came and made some kachoris for her brother. Okay, and Prabhupada was there. And when Pishima came, all the devotees, they just wanted to give, Prabhupada being together with Pishima. And Prabhupada said, one of his secretary, Prabhupada said, you wait here. And Prabhupada quoted that shloka, Balavan, matra, swatra, duhitrava. And devotees were like, Prabhupada. He said, no, I have to teach by example. Please be here. What is the application to us to this is, like, if when we are a counselor, we should never do single counseling. Because counseling means emotions. Emotions means there is a meltdown. And, so this cross counseling should be avoided. Cross counseling means, only Prabhuji is counseling only Mataji. So either of them should be a pair. Best is both of them in the pair. Either, the counselor should be present as a husband-wife. If and that is, same thing. It is like, even the counselor Mataji should not be counsel single Prabhuji. because counseling is quite intense and it involves emotions and everything. And, or otherwise the other, the counselee should be husband, wife together. Okay, right. When we are a counselee to somebody, it is our duty that we also conduct accordingly. Right. So this is also very important thing. Like when we are dealing with some brahmacharis, Mataji is dealing with brahmacharis, or Prabhuji is dealing with some senior Mataji who is a speaker. Like, in Pune, one very senior Mataji had come. She was giving Bhagavatam class and everything. So Pune entire sitting arrangement that time in the temple hall was changed. That all the Matajis were sitting in front and Prabhujis were sitting, behind, and those kind of etiquettes were very strictly followed. Of course, following these etiquettes becomes little difficult in the Western countries, but at least the concept should be there in our minds that this is the concept. The concept is not about, somebody, once a person came, one Mataji came to one Maharajji, not particular Maharaj, I'm saying, and she said, Swamiji, why are you discriminating? Is not the man and woman equal? And Maharajji gave a very beautiful answer. I think he was our Jayadvaita Swami Maharaj. He said that yes, man and woman are equal, but they are different. And she took a long time to understand that. Are they equal? Of course they are equal. Why equal? Women are always in a higher category. Yatra daryastu pujante, right? But they are different. And therefore, there is a different respect to be shown to these different personalities. Are they equal? Yes, they are equal. But they are different. And that's why these kind of verses will be there coming. Okay. So one should take these verses in a right spirit. This is the spirit of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. What is the spirit of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam? The spirit of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, even Bhagavad Gita, is that women as a class, they are extremely precious. And therefore, like, sometimes some Ratna may say, why you are keeping me under, so much of protection? Look at the petal, look at the steel, look at the iron, which just moves around everywhere. No, sir, you are very precious. That is the central idea of whenever it is being talked of a protection, whenever it is being talked of, any other purpose. So the purport like this is actually a thrashing to the men. One should understand this. And this also is a direct, indirect glorification for women as a class. And at the same time, Vaishnava etiquettes are paramount. They are extremely important to be followed. Text 37. ततः सृष्टेषु को नु अखंडित दीपुमान् ऋषिं नारायण हृते योषित मय्या इह मायया. Translation.
Amongst all kinds of living entities begotten by Brahma, namely men, demigods, and animals, none but the sage Narayana is immune to the attraction of Maya in the form of woman. Purport. The first living creature is Brahma himself, and from him were created sages like Marichi, who in their turn created Kashyapa Muni and others. The Kashyapa Muni and Manus created different demigods and human beings, etc. But there is none among them who is not attracted by the spell of Maya in the form of woman. Throughout the entire material world, beginning from Brahma down to the small, insignificant creatures like the ant, everyone is attracted by sensual life. That is the basic principle of this material world. Lord Brahma's being attracted by his daughter is the vivid example that no one is exempt from sensual attraction to woman. Therefore, woman is a wonderful creation of Maya to keep the conditioned soul in shackles.
Yeah. So here it is. Amongst all kind of living entities begotten by Brahma, nobody is immune to the this prowess of Maya in the form of a woman other than sage Narayana. Okay, so woman for a man and man for a woman. We have elaborately discussed this. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada writes that the first living creature is Brahma, who gives birth to sages like Marichi, who in turn gives sages like Kashyapa. And Kashyapa and Manus, they create different demigods and human beings, etc. But all of them are with the possibility of falling away because of this intense attraction. Prabhupada says everyone is attracted to sensual life. And there, this is the basic principle of material world. And that's why there's a very typical name for material world that is called as Maithunagar. Maithunagar means, agar means the place. And this is the place of the sensual life. And therefore, nobody is immune to this attraction. Woman, therefore, is the wonderful creation of Maya to keep the conditioned men in shackle. And you can similarly with equal emphasis translate, men, therefore, is the wonderful creation of Maya to keep conditioned woman in shackles. It's just vice versa. And then comes the celebrated verse of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. Very, very famous verse of this. We'll only recite this, and then tomorrow we will see the discussion. Balam me pasya māyāyā.
Balam me pasya māyāyā.
Śrīmaya jayino dishām.
Śrīmaya jayino dishām.
Ya karoti padakrantam.
Ya karoti padakrantam.
Vijrumbhena kevalam.
Vijrumbhena kevalam.
Just try to understand the mighty strength of my Maya in the shape of a woman, who by the mere movement of her eyebrows can keep even the greatest conquerors of the world under her grip. Okay, very, very, very famous verse of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. This is Balam me pasya māyāyā Śrīmaya jayino dishām ka ya karoti padakrantan bhruvi jrumbhena kevalam. Simply by the movement of the eyebrows, person can be melted on the spot. This is the potency of Maya, especially in the form of a woman for a man, or for a man, for woman a man, or man a woman. Okay, so this is a very famous verse of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. Coming back to the day, today is Janmashtami, and a lot of services are going to be there. More and more we are connected with ISKCON. From guest to ISKCON, we should also become the host, and we should be going to our nearest temple, doing a lot of services there as much as we can. We are fasting till 12. Please try to fast as much as you can. Some devotees will be fasting nirjala, some will take some water and fast, somebody will take something which is of the fasting, and then they will fast. But one has to fast on today, whatever capacity that one can. And let us pray to Lord Sri Krishna that we are always connected to this wonderful path of Krishna consciousness. The philosophy that is being discussed by all of us here, Śrīmad-Bhāgavad-Gīta and Bhagavatam, there is nothing greater or superior than this, right? The message that is being forwarded, that is being coming to us by disciplic succession, the prasad that we take, the deities darshan that we have, and the people that we are associating with, this is like some of the finest of the entire creation of Lord Brahma. Not only just, our experience. Such finer things are very difficult to obtain outside what we are otherwise receiving by mercy of, Guru and Krishna. So Guru Krishna Prasade Pai. So once again, happy Janmashtami to everyone. Tomorrow is a very special day. Tomorrow we will be having His Grace Kanai Krishna Prabhu discussing with us, and that is going to be very, very special. So we will conclude here and continue tomorrow. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Thank you, Prabhupada. Thank you, everyone. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhupada. Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you, everyone. Hare
Happy
Krishna.
Janmashtami.
Happy Janmashtami.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.